Hello everyone, and welcome to Full Grown Impressions. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game called Kairo, which was released, I believe, yesterday, April 24th, on Steam. I think it's $7.99, but it's on sale for 20% off, so it's like, I don't know, $6.30-something cents, I believe. But I think this game was developed by two guys, and it was made, I believe, on the Unity engine, which I don't know how hard developing on the Unity engine is, but whenever you have a development team that is so small, I consider that to be somewhat, at least in itself, an accomplishment. But basically what the game is, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Myst, from back in the day. You go around pretty much exploring the area, and there are some puzzles and stuff thrown in the mix. The weird thing is, there is not really a title screen. That thing we just saw is kind of like the opening cinematic, but it pretty much throws you right into the game, so I don't know if I've ever seen that done before. But I would like to point out that I am using the Xbox controller, so that is possible. But before we really get into the game, if we go into the menu, you can't use the controller. I don't know, there's nothing I'm pushing that will make me able to go through the options in the menu, so you actually do have to use the mouse for the menus, which I think is kind of weird. I mean, if it's going to support the Xbox controller for movement and jumping and actually playing the game, I think it would be a good idea for it to actually work in the menus as well. While we're in the menus, might as well go ahead and look through some of the options and stuff. Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff as far as resolution. There's actually a grain effect you can use, which doesn't really enhance it that much for me, but I know some people like it. It kind of reminds me of the option from Left 4 Dead a little bit. But the look sensitivity and all that, look smoothing. Look smoothing, by the way, does not really work that well. It's kind of like mouse acceleration, I think. That's what it makes me think of when I use it. So I'm just going to leave all that off. I haven't really noticed any depth of field, alterations when I was playing the game the first time. We're going to go ahead and look through the hint system as well. I was going to say go ahead and play the game, but then I remembered that I want to show off the hint system. Is kind of funny because there's no hints right now. But later on in the game, when we get to some actual puzzles, here in the hint option, or whatever, in the menu, there are going to be different hints that we can use to solve some puzzles. But like I said, there are no hints for this area because it's actually a fairly easy area. There's not really too much to it. We're going to go ahead and return to the game here. By the way, the sensitivity on the mouse is way higher, of course, than it is on the Xbox controller. We're starting off in a fairly strange area, and that's not really going to change, actually. We're not just starting off in a strange area. The entire game, as far as I've played, I haven't played that much of the game, but I did want to make myself a little bit familiar with it. Most of the game is surreal like this, which I think is really cool, but there's not that much gameplay. And when I say that, there are puzzles and stuff like that, but I know some people are going to be off-put by the fact that a lot of it is just running around in these pretty cool environments, I think, but there's not as much, action and stuff as you might be used to, so going in, just know that. But up here, we're going to be getting sort of our first puzzle. Not really too hard. All we got to do is push what looks like a chair or something back up into the wall. And by the way, that symbol right there must be the symbol of Kairo. And by the way, the name Kairo, I don't know what the significance of that is, but, I mean, the architecture here, I don't know much about Egyptian architecture. I have no idea if it has any sort of relevance to the, Cairo in Egypt or not. If anybody knows, I would be glad to hear that. But anyway, we're making our way into our first, open, I hate to say open-ended, but sort of bigger area, I guess. When I first saw this, I knew I was going to have a fun time with this game. There's just something about this, and by the way, I never noticed, I can't believe I just fell off right there, by the way, but that's actually pretty good, because you can't really die. I guess it's a good thing to show you can't really die. I never really noticed that big long pathway up there the first time I played the game, but the first time I did play the game, these arches going over the pathway here, I knew I was gonna like the game. I don't know why, just because of the fact, just things like that, the kind of mystical nature, or whatever, adjective you want to use. I really like that in games like this, especially when the game is focused on exploration. It makes the exploration a little bit more fun. Now, I didn't even realize this was a puzzle at first. I don't know if I didn't realize that the bridge goes up and down if you come. Actually, I guess to solve this puzzle, all you really got to do is come up here and go, through the middle. I didn't realize it was a puzzle because I just went up there and was searching around on top of that little whatever that was up there, and the bridge just happened to be in alignment, so I didn't really realize that I had solved the puzzle, which is kind of funny considering, you're supposed to feel, I guess, a sense of accomplishment when you complete a puzzle. Now, as far as I know, there's nothing in this room, which is kind of disappointing, because I figured that it would be kind of a good idea anyway to, have some stuff that you can find around in these areas. And there are a lot of areas like this in the game where there's really nothing for you to find. When I first played the game, that was what I wanted to do, was, you know, climb all over everything, find every little hidden nook and cranny, or whatever, but, I mean, even up here, there's nothing like even a symbol up here to, you know, congratulate you, not congratulate you, but you just acknowledge the fact that you got up there. Like, you know, a symbol, maybe the symbol I was talking about before, maybe that could have been up there. Just like knowing people will go up there, you would think there might be something up there for you to find. But since there's nothing really to look at out here, it kind of looks like, if you look at it abstractly, I guess, it kind of looks like a park or something like that. You know, it looks like a tree over there, and then we got an arch over here. I don't know what that is. It kind of looks like a stage or something that musicians would play at. But we're going to go ahead and progress in here. This is sort of like the hub of the first part of the game. So what we got to do is activate this middle area. And what I've read, actually, as far as activating things, I think it was for this game. Basically, you have to awaken the hidden machinery or something like that. So I think it's kind of cool, maybe that little dystopian vibe. Just the fact, it feels like somebody's been here before, when I play it anyway. I feel like I'm uncovering a mystery a little bit at a time, which is exactly, probably anyway, I don't want to, you know, speak for the developer or anything, probably what this game is all about. Like I said, I haven't actually finished it, but just the mystery going around, you know, mixed with the puzzles and stuff like that, makes me feel like I'm part of a, you know, a civilization maybe that used to be here before. Up here was probably, it scared the absolute crap out of me actually the first time I was playing the game, which is why maybe I should do actual first impressions from now on so you could have like got my reaction. I did not expect this to be up here at all, but what it is a whole bunch of pictures of like, it looks like maybe like war-ravaged areas or something, like ravaged, I should say, areas. And I want you to go ahead and just listen to what's going on up here. There's somebody speaking, I believe. I guess when I decided to let her talk, I'm assuming it's a female anyway, speaking another language, she decided not to talk anymore. But that up there, I think these are supposed to be static-y screens, but just the way they look, I mean, it looks like it's almost like a river going this way, if you know what I'm trying to say. If I look at it if I look straight up, it looks actual like static, but if I look out like that, it looks more like I said, a river of static going out there. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but if you know what I'm talking about, I'd love a comment, you know, reassuring me that I'm not going crazy. But things like that, there are things like that in this game that you can find, which I think are really cool, and it really, before I said going, you know, climbing up areas, I didn't feel like I was being rewarded for climbing up those areas. In those situations when I find things like that, I do feel like I'm being rewarded a little bit, if only for being, you know, curious about the mysteries of the area. Now here we have sort of a little bit of a maze. I don't actually remember how to get through here, so I guess playing the game the first time didn't really help me too much. But we have this sort of green area. A lot of the areas in this game have areas where, or a lot of areas in the game have color palettes, I should say, that look like this. Like it's just one color. You would think that might be a little bit grating, but it serves a purpose, I guess. It really makes me feel like I'm in some sort of, I don't even know how to explain it really. It just gives me a good vibe, I guess. A good atmosphere is what it gives the game to me anyway. Now I cannot believe I am still getting stuck in here. Maybe if I come over here and come around, I think this is the way that I went the first time. But I guess it just goes to show that even if you play the game once, you're probably not going to remember everything the second time through. I don't know, like I said, I haven't finished the game. I don't know if this would have any replayability. I guess if you're me and you can't remember the solutions to the puzzles that you've completed a good 2 hours ago, it might have some replayability, I should say. But there we got some sort of, it looks like a fourth of a Simon Says puzzle up there in the top left. It was gold. Those are the keys, I guess, to unlocking that little hub thing, or activating that hub thing that we saw back at near the beginning of the game. One thing I want to point out is that in between areas, you have pathways like this that don't, like I said before, in some other situation, don't really serve a purpose. They're just sort of connectors or whatever between areas. And while they do look kind of cool, I do wish there were more to these kind of areas. I don't know if you could maybe jump that. I kind of figured you wouldn't be able to jump all that way. Luckily, you cannot die. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't talk. I haven't had my coffee. But anyway, we've made our way into a second puzzle, and if I can't remember how to get through a maze, which has one way of doing it, I'm probably not going to remember how to do this, but I do remember to activate the puzzle in the first place. We gotta come up here and grab that symbol, which has shown up in a fair few number of places before. We have to press these things on the ground in a certain order, and if you press the wrong one, you get a pretty harsh sounding sound, but if you press the right one, you get what sounds like a gong. By the way, I want to go ahead and look at the hints. I already know how to solve this, so don't think I'm cheating here trying to solve this puzzle. I just want to give you a little bit of a flavor, or a little bit of a taste, of what the hints look like. Here for hint 1, it's kind of an easy hint. Touch the symbol to start the pilot light. Hint 2, you need to find the correct sequence to stand on the 4 pads and do it quickly. And hint 3, the audio cue should help you determine the correct order. I actually didn't realize I had a certain amount of time to complete this, so I better go back and probably hit this one over here. But you can see that the hints are in sort of a tiered system, which I think is pretty cool. You know, if you get a little bit stuck, or if you get stuck at all, you can go look at the first hint, and then you can try and solve the puzzle again. If that doesn't help you enough, you can go back and, you know, look at the second hint or whatever, and just progress on from there until you have actually solved the puzzle. But as far as solving this puzzle, I'm pretty sure I've narrowed it down to what the final, you know, configuration of these things is going to be. Once you've gotten the first 2, you've only got 2 more options after that, if I've done my math correctly. But that's 3 out of 4 right there. I wonder if you can actually walk through this. Yeah, it doesn't look like it hurts you at all, so that's kind of lucky. And I wonder, I was going to say, I think if we press the final switch on the floor over here, we're going to get the second of 2 pieces of the Simon Says puzzle up in the top left. I don't actually remember which door I came in. I think I came in that door, so I'm going to go ahead and try and head out this door. By the way, I've just noticed whenever there's something on the screen, and you're moving the controller anyway, there's some sort of weird, like, jittering effect, and I have a feeling that that is what mouse smoothing, or, you know, look smoothing does, but when I tried it with a mouse, it really didn't work, so maybe that was specifically created for controller users. I don't know. But anyway, in this room, another one of those connecting rooms that I talked about before, I love areas like this. We have blocks floating up into oblivion, it looks like. I think there's another stream of blocks over here, and there are areas of blocks that we can jump to. Apparently there's blocks down there as well. This is exactly what I'm talking about, though, because no matter where you go in here, there is nothing as far as I can tell. I would hate for me to be saying all this, and then it turns out that there's like a secret area that you can go to down here. I don't think there is. Like, I've searched high and low in this area. There's this weird place over here where all the blocks come together and you can just kind of like fall right through it. But up here, I just fell off. There's nothing down there. So if anybody's played this game, or if anybody knows if there's any secret areas in these areas where I'm saying there's nothing, I would be glad to hear that, because it would kind of rest my mind a little bit, because as far as it stands, I like the premise of the game. I just wish there was a little bit more to reward you for actually exploring the game. But now that we've completed those 2 over there, we've completed half of the activation, I guess you could say, of that middle column, so now we can go over to the other half of the room. And by the way, once we get back to that room, I want to show you another kind of oddity about the game. But this is probably my favorite area so far. I wonder if I can actually jump. That's one thing I do in games, by the way. If it looks like I can jump somewhere or do like a shortcut, I guess you could say, I'm probably going to go for the shortcut. And usually, when I play a game like this, of course I go around every single nook and cranny. And by the way, that looks pretty cool over there. That kind of stuff is a positive for me. I mean, it's not just a straight block of wall over there. But anyway, when I'm playing a game by myself, I really do like to look at every nook and cranny, which is why I don't normally go into games that I do on the channel blindly, because I would hate to look in every, you know, corner and not get the objective right or whatever. Of course, there is not really an objective of this game other than completing that puzzle, so I guess exploration is the other objective, you could say, but I would hate to, like, look around and not know where I'm going and stuff, so that's why I play the games usually first before I show them to you. Here we have, it looks like some sort of obelisk. I know I've done this already in this episode, but I want you guys to go ahead and listen to what happens when we walk closer to this obelisk. I might have to turn that up a little bit in, post-production or, editing or whatever. It sounded like someone talking, and probably the same woman that was talking before in that red area. Like I said, things like that really are a plus to me. I love things like that in games where there's there's a mystery to solve, and the fact that this game is all about the mystery and all about the exploration, I really do like that. And I don't know if I mentioned this, by the way, but in the email I got from the developer, he said that he was going to implement the Oculus Rift, which if you don't know what the Oculus Rift is, by the way, this is like when I talk about, doing the game first, or playing the game before I do the first impressions, quote unquote, this is one reason why I don't like to play the game first, because I do already know how to complete this puzzle. Luckily, it's very easy. But anyway, the developer said that he was going to implement the Oculus Rift, which is that, I'm sure if you have any sort of, technical prowess, or if you've been on the internet that long looking at gaming things, it's like a virtual reality 3D sort of, I guess I was gonna say goggles or glasses or something like that. I don't remember what it looks like, but essentially it's a virtual reality sort of thing. I think that would be absolutely amazing for this type of thing. The only complaint I would have with that, though, is that the game is it doesn't look ugly by any means. I mean, it's like I said before, I think it's on the Unity engine, and every experience I've had with a Unity engine game, and by the way, the symbol is going to be very important here. Every experience I've had with a Unity engine game, they all kind of look the same a little bit. Alright guys, sorry about that cut. I had to help with the groceries. I feel like I'm about, 9 years old, but, you gotta do what you gotta do. Didn't mean to step on that right there, so I'm just gonna have to go around and hit some of these symbols on the floor to start over, basically. I know exactly what the symbol looks like. The way the orientation of these symbols are on the ground, it looks a little bit weird to me as far as trying to get the correct symbols. It looks right to me so far. I think there are 4 that we need to hit. I don't think this is one of the right ones. Maybe we can move up here. That one looks right to me. Now, I think this might do it. Alright, good. I was gonna say, I thought that would complete the puzzle. I thought that's what it looked like. But we have, speaking of completing the puzzle, we've sort of completed our Simon Says circle thing up there in the top left, and we are moving into our final little connection hallway or whatever. This looks sort of, speaking of Kairo, looks like a tomb or whatever, and if we come over here and look at, I guess, a coffin, I mean, it's just a coffin or whatever, and that kind of looks weird. I don't know what that's supposed to be on there. Maybe more static. Yellow static at that. It kind of reminds me of sand a little bit. But this is just another one of those rooms that we've pretty much just got to run through. Like I was saying before, I don't know if I like the fact that there are so many connecting hallways like this with nothing in them, and the fact that this one, like, for instance, is so long. I would have liked it if there had been something in there that we could have maybe collected or just interacted with. But before I go collect that orb or whatever that is and pretty much wrap up this look at Kairo, I kind of want to go over here and show you something a little bit weird. If we come in this area, there are, squares on the ground where you can play basically tones or tunes or whatever. I didn't know what this was supposed to be. I sat here for probably 20 minutes pressing like every combination I could think of, and I got tired of it and looked at the hints. I want to go ahead and show you what the hints look like for this area. Have you tried walking over the floor panels? Yes. Not everything is an obstacle to overcome. Okay, that's kind of weird. The music room is just here for you to play with, mostly. So I don't know if there is something to do with this room right here. In the email I got from the developer, he did say that there was one very secret area for the most hardcore of players. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I did spend a long time in here, and I was not able to complete the puzzle, if it even is a puzzle. But now that I've messed around with that a little bit, I want to go back out here and collect the orb that is sitting above our Kairo symbol on the ground here. And we're going to be able to complete the first part of the game. I have a hard time believing that this is anywhere near the end of the game. This is actually as far as I've played the game. But as soon as we jump in here, we're going to be, sinking down into the bottom of a black hole, it looks like. Areas like this are really well done. I feel like they have a really cool atmosphere. I've said that a lot in this game. Just know that this game has a really good atmosphere, and that's a really big plus. But anyway, sometimes I do feel like I'm a floating camera just running by completing puzzles, which I don't know if that's just me, but sometimes that's kind of a negative. So there are positives and negatives to this game. So I guess what it really comes down to, and by the way, I'm just going to end the episode or video down here. It really comes down to if it's worth it or not to buy this game, considering the positives and the negatives. I would say it is, mainly because of that aspect of exploration. Even though they don't reward you for exploring as much as maybe I feel they should anyway. And the puzzles, as far as I've played, were pretty fun anyway. And the graphics, or the atmosphere, like I've said before, is really good. So it has a recommendation from me, especially at its price point of like $6.39, as I think is what it costs right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video here. I would do a post video, or end of the video social media pitch or whatever that I usually do at the end of my full-grown impressions videos. But you guys know where all that information is. It's all down in the description, so if you want to find it, it's all down there. But for the final time, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys back for whatever full-grown impressions I decide to do next.